Welcome to 9 Minutes of Wonder. I'm Betsy Hedberg. I hope this podcast will help you rekindle your sense of wonder for this awe-inspiring world. If you like what you hear in the next few minutes, please subscribe and share. Imagine that you live around 4,000 years ago in what is today southern England, and it is now the darkest part of the winter. For the past few months, it's been getting colder, windier, rainier, and generally unpleasant, and there's a lot less vegetation to eat. And to top it all off, it's gotten a lot darker. But you know this is a part of the cycle, and you can look forward to a special day coming up very soon, actually today, when it's going to start to be a little less dark each day. And that will be a day you can celebrate, right? And if you go to Stonehenge today, you can still celebrate because today is the winter solstice. And of course, you might be listening to this after the winter solstice, but no worries, it's still pretty cool to think about. By the way, I know that my friends in Australia and New Zealand and other southern hemisphere countries are not participating in the winter solstice right now. It is, of course, the summer solstice there. And this is going to be about the winter solstice, so pardon my northern hemisphere biases. The word solstice comes from the Latin word solstitium, or sun stands still. The sun is at its lowest point, and the day is the shortest on the day of the solstice, and the night is the longest. But the days start to get longer, and the nights start to get shorter, right? We all know that. I think winter solstice can be wonder-inspiring from several different perspectives. From the astronomical perspective, it's pretty cool to think about the Earth's tilt causing seasons, right? For many people, it also has a great spiritual significance, even nowadays. And in ancient Europe, the winter solstice used to symbolize the death and the rebirth of the sun god. And for many people today, it has a similar significance. Even if they don't literally believe in a sun god, it has a significance of honoring the sun and honoring the seasons and the cycles of nature. Winter solstice is also associated with various holidays around the world, including, of course, Christmas, which we know is getting very close once the winter solstice comes. And even if you don't celebrate any of the December holidays, the winter solstice, I think, can be a good opportunity to set aside your business, stay inside with a good book or movie, and appreciate the wonders of nature from your cozy home and start looking forward to spring. So if you do want to really get into the solstice spirit and celebrate, where can you go? One of the places you can go if you're in the United States is the Mission San Juan Bautista in California from the late 18th century. Like some other Spanish mission churches, this one was constructed so that the sun's light at sunrise on the winter solstice beams straight through the front door and lights up the high altar and other important parts of the church. The Spanish priests at that time converted many native people to Catholicism, and with this architectural feature, they intended to convey to them the message of hope in Jesus' arrival. So people still go there every year to celebrate the solstice sunrise. Some of them play music in front of the church, like this celebration that happened in 2016. Thank you to the California Frontier Project for that audio clip, and I'll link to them in the show notes. Where else can you go celebrate the solstice? There are various places, but the most obvious and most popular are some of the Neolithic sites in Northern Europe. For example, Stonehenge. The stones of Stonehenge make a line where at sunset, if it's not cloudy, the sun will pass directly through. And during Neolithic times, so several thousand years ago, archaeologists have discovered many pig and cow bones in sites right around Stonehenge, and they believe it's related to festivities at that time of year. Today, on the winter solstice, there will be a big celebration at Stonehenge, and it's actually going to be live streamed. I'll put a link into the show notes. By the time you hear this, it might have already happened, but you can see the replay. One cool thing that they do is they take the ropes away so people can actually go up to the stones. A few decades ago, you used to be able to go up to the stones and then they roped them off. But on the solstice, you can go and touch the stones. And people come and they dance, play traditional instruments like pipes and drums, and they generally celebrate. I found an article in The Guardian talking about the solstice celebration at Stonehenge. And it quotes Dr. Jennifer Wexler as saying, "I think also the spirituality of the event and the site is more potent in the winter. There's something really magical wandering across cold, misty fields in the dark and seeing lights across the landscape as people gather to celebrate the return of the light. For me, it evokes the feeling of what it might have been like 4,000 years ago. I have never been to Stonehenge during the winter solstice, and I don't know if I ever will. I don't really like crowds, but it sounds really beautiful. You could also go to the solstice celebration at Newgrange in Ireland. And if you are lucky enough to win the winter solstice lottery from Newgrange, you get to go inside the passage tomb and you walk down a very narrow corridor, not very far, but it's very narrow. And you get to the back, and at sunrise, the sun lines up perfectly right through the passage. And it only happens on the winter solstice. I don't know what it looks like if it's cloudy. So you can look up all sorts of historical facts about the winter solstice, and I won't go on and on about that. But I will say that December 25th used to be considered the solstice day in ancient Rome and in ancient England. And of course, we all know now what we celebrate on December 25th. At that time, it was called the Festival of the Invincible Sun in honor of Sol Invictus, the Roman sun god in the late Roman Empire. And that festival started in the 3rd century AD and came right after Saturnalia, which had for many centuries been a major week-long holiday from the 17th to the 23rd of December. And during Saturnalia, the Romans played games and gave gifts and, of course, ate a ton and drank a lot of wine. They were allowed to gamble all they wanted, and the masters waited on their slaves. So there was kind of this weird role reversal for a week, and then everything went back to, normal slavery. But the 25th of December for the Invincible Sun Festival almost certainly had something to do with that day being the choice for Christmas Day. People around the world celebrate the Northern Hemisphere winter solstice. I'll give you just 3 other quick examples. There's a festival called Soyal, S-O-Y-A-L, that is celebrated by the Hopi and Zuni cultures of the American Southwest. And families get together to celebrate the sun's return from its dark slumber and the start of a new year. The spirits, known as Kachinas, come down from the mountain to bring the sun back, and they do a special dance as a part of this very important ceremony. There's also a Persian holiday called Yalda. This is a celebration of the victory of light over dark and the birthday of the sun god. And for this holiday, families celebrate with a feast that includes pomegranates and many other fruits. And then there is a modern festival called Burning the Clocks in Brighton, England. And I'll quote from the Burning the Clocks website to say, "It brings the whole city together to mark the shortest day of the year. Local people make their own paper and willow lanterns using our kits. And after parading through the city, they pass them into a blazing bonfire on Brighton Beach as a token of the year's end." And I also read that this is inspired by the idea that we can do something on Christmas besides celebrate commercialism and give presents and buy stuff. This year's theme, the 2024 theme, is Voyager, and they're reflecting on these words by Carl Sagan. "Everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam." Love that quote. And if you live in a colder part of the Northern Hemisphere, think about what you like to do this time of year. Is there anything you enjoy about the darkness? A lot of people complain about it, of course. I've always liked the darkness. I like the coziness of being inside on a dark night. But if you don't like the darkness, that's okay. It will end, and you'll get your brilliant summer sun before you know it. So I wish everyone listening to this and everyone else a beautiful holiday, however you celebrate, whatever you celebrate. And I will talk to you in the new year.